Gulfstream Park celebrates its golden anniversary with a chance to write the opening and closing chapters for 1989 in thoroughbred racing. In November, racing's richest day, the Breeders' Cup comes to Florida for the first time. And today, we make an early stop on the road to the Triple Crown. Budweiser racing across America. Today, live from Gulfstream Park in Allendale, Florida, it's the 43rd running of the Fountain of Youth Stakes. This ESPN sports presentation is brought to you by Budweiser. Beach Wood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud for you. By Keeneland, source of the classic horse. Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas. Relive the legend. And by Three Chimneys. The idea is excellent. Stay tuned next for the Fountain of Youth Stakes from Florida's Gulfstream Park. It was just over 50 years ago, February 1st, 1939, the gold medal winning Olympic star Sonia Henning cut the ribbon on opening day at Gulfstream Park in Florida. Now, as Florida's #1 track, setting 11 new racing records for the Sunshine State last year, Gulfstream has served as the starting point for many classic winners. And today's Fountain of Youth Stakes has a history that includes horses that have gone on to win 7 Kentucky Derbies, 5 Preaknesses, and 4 Belmonts. Stars like Tim Tam and Cowie King, like Spectacular Bid, who won the 1979 Fountain of Youth before going on to win the Derby and the Preakness. 1987's winner, Bet Twice, went on to take the Belmont. And last year, the winner was the top classic contender, 49er, in a dramatic stretch drive. Today, we look to add to this history of classic winners in the 43rd running of the Fountain of Youth Stakes at Gulfstream. And it is an absolutely beautiful, warm, sunny afternoon here in South Florida. Temperatures climbing in the mid-80s here as we welcome you to Allendale, Florida, and to Gulfstream Park. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln, and it's great to get started on the road to the Triple Crown here in our Budweiser Racing Across America series on ESPN. This is the first stop, the Fountain of Youth Stakes. Working with us are experts today, Dave Johnson, who'll call the race for us, and Pete Axel, who'll give you the edge going into this race. Let's look at the conditions now for the Fountain of Youth. It is a Grade 2, $100,000 added, with 13 horses in our big field today. It's a $130,000 total purse, $78,000 of value to the winner. The distance, 1 mile and a 16th. For some of the 3-year-olds, their first time around, 2 turns, as they look to stretch towards the Derby distance of 1 1/4 miles. The track, as it has been all week, listed as fast. Trackmen tell us here that in the last couple of weeks, it's been about as even as you could ask for, perhaps a bit dull on the rail. Well, our 2 experts, Dave Johnson, Pete Axel, no strangers to Florida racing. Dave Johnson called races at Hialeah. Pete Axel, he spends all the time at Gulfstream. Let's go now to the walking ring behind the grandstand and meet Dave and Pete.
Pete, Florida racing has had everything from A to Z, well, almost A to Z, from Arcaro to Icaza. On the equine side, from Alidar to Zaros. It's a rich tradition.
It is, and it's one that we keep trying to destroy down here. The racetracks keep bickering. It took forever. Just recently, we finally got families allowed into the race course here. We finally got Sunday racing. Are we on the right track? Well, now we have deregulation. All the tracks bidding for the same days. It's chaos. Can Florida racing survive? Well, I'll tell you, there's some of us that will crawl over barbed wire to get into these places.
And we're talking about these places being Calder. Now has given fans down here year-round competition and an important fan base for the industry. Hialeah, who had the glory days and the trains from Palm Beach, and now at Gulfstream, the crown jewel of racing in southern Florida, and the host for this year's Breeders' Cup.
Well, Gulfstream certainly earned the position it has because it does the best business, a beautifully run track. And, you know, it's had some stakes that kind of sneak up on you. And the Fountain of Youth is one of them. Very few people realize the Fountain of Youth is just the second in the series leading up to the Florida Derby, which everyone thinks about. But the Fountain of Youth, runners from this race have produced, since 1956, 27 winners of Triple Crown races. Wow. It's significant. And some of those horses were losers here in this race. Carryback, Pleasant Colony, Swale. You can make a little Hall of Fame out of also-rans in the Fountain of Youth. So be careful. Don't just watch the winner today. Watch them all cross the line.
Well, let's look at the whole field for the Fountain of Youth Stakes. 13 of them. We start with Western Playboy at 8-1 and Jerry Bailey. Silver Sunsets at 15, Awe-Inspiring at 6. One of the favorites, Dixieland Brass at 3-1 with Randy Romero, 122 pounds. The 5-horse, Bold Circle at 15. 15 the price on Mercedes 1, Reaffirming at 12-1. Number 8, Big Stanley with Jacinto Vasquez at 5. Traskwood with Cordero at 6. Triple Buck at 12 with Jorge Velasquez. And completing the field, Crown Collection at 12 and the Mutual Field, 2 for the price of 1. Hal Rose at 15 and Dark Skies as the other half of that Mutual Field.
Thank you, Dave. You heard Pete make the point of how well-run Gulfstream Park is. Much of the credit goes to the young 41-year-old president, Doug Don, starting his second decade at the head of Gulfstream Park. He's the third generation of the Don family. They opened this track in 1939 and have now made it Florida's #1 track. They've never had a more exciting year than 1989. We talked earlier to Doug Don about why this year is so big for Gulfstream Park.
This year, our 50th anniversary is a milestone for us, as it is for anyone, and we termed it from bankruptcy to the Breeders' Cup. In 1939, we went bankrupt, and of course this year we're host to the greatest racing day in thoroughbred racing.
What are some of the facilities that Gulfstream has put together now to make it a very special day, November 4th?
Well, we're greatly expanding our seating, but more particularly, we have contracted with a major tent company, Keith Prowse, who has done work in England for over 400 years, and they have hosted such events as Wimbledon, Ascot Racing, golf tournaments, etc. So what we're going to do is supplement our facility with as many of these temporary facilities and tents, corporate tents, dining tents, etc.
How important is the Breeders' Cup to Gulfstream and to Florida racing?
Well, it's tremendously important. The Breeders' Cup was designed to put an emphasis on thoroughbred racing in the public view, and we're going to exploit that in Florida. We're going to make all Floridians know that thoroughbred racing is here in Florida, is a big industry, and that the Breeders' Cup is a big influence on their local economy that weekend.
Doug Don also announced just recently that the final 10 days of the meeting here through March the 7th, they have raised the overnight purses to $167,000 per day. That is the highest in Florida racing history. The big event, of course, March 4th, the $500,000 Florida Derby. We'll be back with a closer look at our Fountain of Youth Stakes in a moment. Here and a big day of racing, in fact a big weekend. 3 stakes races, total purses more than $825,000 on the card. The director of racing, Tommy Trotter, has put together here this weekend. We're going to go to the walking ring again now to Pete Axome, was with George Giannos. He's the trainer of Big Stanley. He won the Tropical Park Derby. Ax going to find out a little more about this horse. Looks like the speed in our race today.
Shocker T, Judy's Red Shoes, Darn That Alarm, a past winner of the Fountain of Youth. George Giannos keeps coming up with good horses around here. And where does Big Stanley stand among them at the moment?
Well, I think Big Stanley, he's a very nice horse, and as far as comparing him with any of the past horses that we've had, you know, I think he's in kind of a different situation. He's shown a little bit more a lot earlier than they had, and we're very pleased with what he's done so far.
Well, he certainly showed a lot in the Tropical Park Derby. Let's take a look at that stretch run. He's on the rail here. He's been on the lead. What are your feelings as he turns for home?
Well, he had gotten the first part of the race fairly easy, and when the horse hooked him at the 3/8 pole, he looked like he might have a little bit hard time through the stretch, but as he got to the 8th pole, he got away from him fairly convincingly, so I was very happy with his performance.
Is he going to blow them out wire to wire today?
Not necessarily. I don't think he's a horse that has to be on the lead, and we'll just have to play that how it comes.
Thanks for stopping by, George.
Well, Big Stanley at 5-1 is the second choice right now, but the favorite is Dixieland Brass. He was the morning line favorite and the crowd favorite now at 3-2. Why is he the favorite? Well, it's off one big race here earlier at Gulfstream Park. And we had a chance to spend some time with the connections of Dixieland Brass to give you a little more of an idea behind just who this horse is. A new 3-year-old that's got a big reputation, and all off one big race here. Let's take a look at Dixieland Brass. It was in the final 3/8 of a mile in last month's Hutchison Stakes here that the unknown 3-year-old colt Dixieland Brass made a move that pulled him up among the leaders of the new Triple Crown Challengers for 1989. Co-owned by the grandfather and grandson partnership of Bayard Sharp and Bill Ferris Jr. The colt has won 4 of 6 lifetime starts, mostly at Laurel and Philadelphia Park, and has now made solid believers out of handicappers in Florida. who dismissed him at better than 11-1 in the Hutchison. He's also caught the eye of veteran rider Randy Romero, looking for a Derby mount.
He's got a beautiful disposition. He handles himself very well, and he finishes beautiful. I like him. I think he's any kind of horse.
The Hutchison race made up Romero's mind. The Dixieland Brass could be a very special horse.
There was a little bit of speed in the race, and I just let the speed go out there, and I just sat on him, took a long cross, and when I called on him around the quarter pole, he came running. He just exploded. And that was a very good race. The time was beautiful. And after the race, we couldn't hardly pull him up. You know, he kept on trying to run. So I think there'll be no problem for him going the distance.
Veteran trainer Charlie Peoples, who has schooled co-owner Bayard Sharp's horses for more than 45 years, has the experience of past Kentucky Derby prospects who have become major disappointments.
Well, I hope the end result is much different. In 1959, with a horse called Troilus, we finished absolutely 17th in the 17-horse field. Although the horse had problems, and we found out and died shortly after. I hope it's a reverse of that episode.
Dixieland Brass is the son of the Lanes Inn Stallion Dixieland Band that Charlie also trained towards the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I took him to Churchill. He ran the Derby trial. He finished 5th. Mr. Sharp and I did not think that he's quite up to the Derby, so we did not run in the Derby and went on. Of course, as you know, he won the Pennsylvania Derby and several nice races. He was a real good horse.
And his son, you think, has even better prospects?
He certainly, up to this point, has shown some of his father, I'd say that.
And now Dixieland Brass takes another important step towards proving that he truly deserves to be considered a serious Triple Crown contender. Certainly, his rider today sounds like he believes.
I'm going to stick behind him. He's #1 in my book, and I'm going to stick behind him, and I think he's a good horse.
The paddock is crowded. The tension is mounting here. But one guy, certainly New York horse players could always pick out the man they call the Macho Man in New York, Butch Lenzini. First of all, how'd you get that nickname, Butch?
Well, I had a colt named Macho about 3 or 4 years ago, and first time out he won at Monmouth. I shipped him in from New York, and John Peason picked it up. He thought we cashed a big bet on him, so that's where we got how he gave me the name.
How are we going to cash any big bets today? I know you're a good handicapper. You're running Triple Buck. First of all, what's your shot?
I think he's got a shot to run very well. He could need to race a little bit. He's been off for 2 months, and a couple of those weeks I just didn't do any training with him at all, and I sent him to South Carolina. But he's trained very well here, and I think he'll run very well.
How do you see the race? We've been looking at Dixieland Brass, and there's some other contenders we've been talking about. Who do you fear?
I fear, I'm kind of afraid of the one horse with a race over the racetrack. He looks like he's trained good here. Well, Western Playboy. Trascoot, I think, is a very good colt. He's definitely going to run good. And the Dixieland Brass, of course, won over the racetrack, so he's going to be tough, too.
And that happens to be my exacta box, too. I listen when the Macho Man talks. Back to you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Pete, very much. Some of the crowd on hand here, upwards of 25,000 at beautiful Gulfstream Park here on a perfect Saturday afternoon for thoroughbred racing. Stay with us. Dave Johnson's next with some more top contenders. Awe-inspiring McGahee horse at 12-1. Dixieland Brass is now even money. So the bettors here, not quite with the handicappers who say this horse may bounce off that last big performance. They love him here. Dixieland Brass is even money favorite. Bull Circle at 45-1. Mercedes 1 at 17-1. Reaffirming at 30-1. Rounding out our field, Big Stanley at 5, Trascoot at 6, Triple Buck at 9, 70-1 on Crown Collection. Hal Rose and Dark Skies, they're the field horses at 35-1. Well, Dave Johnson's going to take a little closer look now at a couple of other favorites in the Fountain of Youth Stakes today. Awe-inspiring from the Shug McGahee stable, and Trascoot from Rusty Arnold stable. Let's take a look now with Dave Johnson. 2 more big horses.
It may be a brand new year, but there are some familiar folks with Triple Crown hopes. Eclipse Award-winning trainer Shug McGahee is bringing champion Easy Goer along on schedule, but he also has a new prospect. His name is Awe-inspiring, and while his record does not equal his name, McGahee has been pleased so far.
His 2 races in Florida this winter, I've been impressed with both of them. He was first race won 7/8 was a 3rd star of his life, but it was only his first start since the 1st of October. We ran him back going around 2 turns, and this track's been a little bit deep down here this winter, and I thought that, you know, maybe I'm asking too much of him coming off one sprint for 3 or 4 months, going back a mile on the 16th. But he relaxed good that day and came from, he was probably a length or 2 last at the half-mile pole, and Santos swung him to the outside and covered a lot of ground to get to where he won, but he did win, and I think we'll find out a lot more about him.
And McGahee is hoping that Awe-Inspiring turns out to be the same caliber as last year's sophomore star, Seeking the Gold.
I think that Awe-Inspiring is a little bit farther ahead than Seeking the Gold was. I'm not sure that Awe-Inspiring's got the raw talent that Seeking the Gold has, or he hasn't really showed that to me yet. But he is a little bit farther advanced because we got to run him a couple times as a 2-year-old. Had a little bit of idea, you know, that he's a decent horse and this and that.
In 1987, Loblolly Stable's Demons Be Gone was the Kentucky Derby favorite, following this impressive win in Arkansas. This year, the stable is back with more than one Triple Crown prospect under trainer Rusty Arnold. For today's race, Traskwood will be the sole color bearer from the Arnold barn.
Well, I think he's the most improved of my group, and he's the farthest in training right now. Some of the others have missed a little time, missed a little training for various reasons. They're pretty fresh, but he hasn't missed anything. He seems to have developed from a 2-year-old into a big 3-year-old over the winter the way you want him to, and we feel real good about him right now.
Traskwood has not raced since this win at Aqueduct in the Nashua Stakes over today's distance some 60 days ago. With that in mind, Arnold is realistic about his colt's chances in the Fountain of Youth and what he hopes to gain from the race.
Well, it's an important step for us. It's not the race that we have to win. I think that he hasn't run in 2 months, and he needs a race, and it won't be the end of the world if he loses, but it's our first step forward for his 3-year-old campaign. It'll be his first stepping stone and, you know, a step into the Florida Derby and then on to Kentucky from there.
The riders have just mounted. A quick glance around the paddock, trying to look at the horses. I would say the 2 extremes are this. Awe-Inspiring is not. He does not look, he's washing out a little bit, does not look real impressive today. Western Playboy is jumping out of his skin. #1, best looking horse in the paddock. We'll be back.
All right, thank you, Pete. The site handicapping analysis of Pete Axel. We'll be back with some more handicapping tips for you in our post-parade for the Fountain of Youth Stakes when we return to Gulfstream Park. The horses have just made their turn, and here is the post-parade for the Fountain of Youth. #1 is Western Playboy. Second in the Hutchison is only Florida start. First or second in every career start, in Illinois bred. The rider, Jerry Bailey, he won the Fountain of Youth in 1980. The #2 horse, Silver Sunsets, placed 6 of 7 times at 2, but ran 4th by 9 in his '89 debut in the Tropical Park Derby. 35-1 for Silver Sunset. Douglas Valiente, the rider, leading rider at Calder. The #3 horse, and there's the famed Black and Cherry, of course, the Phipps stable, Awe-Inspiring. This is Denny Mills Phipps who owns this one. Shug McGahee trains. Jose Santos rides. 8-1 the odds. This horse has come off the pace in both starts in '89. The stakes debut for the son of Slew of Gold, Awe-Inspiring at 8-1. The 4 horses, Dixieland Brass. This is the favorite of the folks right now. Won the Hutchison by 6 lengths here at 11-1. Winner of his last 3 starts. First time, though, around 2 turns. The rider, Randy Romero, been the leading rider at 8 different tracks. The 5 horses, Bull Circle at 40-1, a North Carolina bred here. 5th in the Tropical Park Derby, beaten less than a length there by Awe-Inspiring an allowance. He was a former $25,000 claimer. Jean Cruguet rides. He was, of course, the Triple Crown winning rider on Seattle Slew in '77. The 6 horse Mercedes 1, our first Keeneland horse, $5,700 purchase, 16-1 for Mercedes 1. Richest money earner in the field, sensational at 2, winning the Sanford and the Hopeful, but disappointing so far at 3. Early Fires, the jockey. Reaffirming the 7 horse, son of '78 Triple Crown winner, Affirmed. And there are the famed silks of Lewis and Pat Wolfson, the ones that Affirmed, of course, raced under. Marco Castaneda, the rider, 25-1. Big Stanley, this could be the speed in the race. Winner of the Tropical Park Derby, the second choice at 9-2. Worked a spectacular 141-1 at Calder, and it's Jacinto Vasquez among the top 10 riders of all time in money earned in the irons. The 9 horse, a Keeneland sale purchase, $130,000 is Traskwood. Getting some support, this New York horse at 9-2. Won his last 3, including the Nashua in New York. This is first start in '89. Angel Cordero Jr. down for the ride. The number 10 horse, $32,000 Keeneland sale purchase, Triple Buck, making his 3-year-old debut, is now 10-1. Son of the '83 Kentucky Derby winner, Sonny's Halo, was 3rd in the Nashua. George Velasquez has them out. Crown Collection, number 11, $575,000 Keeneland horse. The big price, though, today, first stake start in '89, was 2nd and 6 here in allowance races. Craig Perrette, the rider, going for a 3rd win in the Fountain of Youth. Now the field horses. The number 12 horse is Hal Rose. 45-1 for the field. Most experience in the field. This is his 14th start. Won the spectacular bid, 7th in the Hutchinson by almost 14, though. And George Chavez, the rider, current leading rider in Florida. Rounding out the field, this is Dark Skies, an Illinois bred, coming off a 7th in the Palm Beach on the turf. He is ridden by Jean-Luc Samine, former leading winter rider in Florida. Dark Skies, part of the field horse at 45-1. That's the field for the Fountain of Youth Stakes. And we've told you the favorite is Dixieland Brass, and a strong favorite he is, but how about a long shot pick? It's time for the Budweiser long shot for the Fountain of Youth.
Today's Budweiser long shot is Crown Collection, a Canadian-bred son of Alydar who in 6 lifetime appearances has been somewhat inconsistent. After winning his first 2 starts, Crown Collection was favored in the Del Mar Futurity, but finished a well-beaten 9th. Then this year, in his Florida debut, the Wayne Lucas trainee finished strongly to be 2nd at today's distance, but 2 weeks later came back to finish 6th as the favorite. But assistant trainer Kieran McLaughlin thinks he knows why.
Wayne has felt like the horse needed blinkers, and we ran him one time here without blinkers, and he came from way out of it and finished 2nd. And Wayne felt like that the blinkers would keep him a little closer and maybe help him, and they seemed to work the other way, and he didn't finish at all, and he didn't run very well. So we're going to take the blinkers back off for Saturday and hope he'll make one run and finish well.
Well, it looks like the cat's out of the bag, and hopefully Crown Collection is back on form. If so, we'll make one run to the window with our Budweiser long shot.
Well, we'll stagger away from the window with 45-1 odds on the Bud long shot. Crown Collection has been quite a story this week, not because he's the Bud long shot, because of the story out of California connecting him, D. Wayne Lucas Stables, and Lasborough, a Hall of Famer, with cocaine use in horses. Pete, it's a stunning accusation.
It is stunning, but I think really the accusation is misdirected. I think anybody who thinks that Wayne Lucas has broken every record in this business, or Lasborough has gone to the Hall of Fame by cheating or using these incredible minuscule amounts of cocaine that were found is just insane. What really should be examined here, the testing laboratories. Samples get changed by mistake. People pick them up. Now they freeze them. We come back with them, and all of a sudden we have these bizarre findings. My money's on Lucas and Pereira, and my claim would be we better look at our testing system.
An Access Edge for you as well. A little bonus coverage for you. We're going to take you back to the Fountain of Youth Stakes of 1985. Remember the winner? He was Proud Truth. Let's share now in his Breeders' Cup Championship moment as we go to our commercial break and then back with the Fountain of Youth.
On a windswept afternoon at New York's Aqueduct, 81-year-old sportsman John Galbraith sent Proud Truth to the post in the $3 million Breeders' Cup Classic. And the truth would prevail as he came from far back to catch the leader in deep stretch.
Proud Truth is right at his neck. Gates answer his game. Proud Truth ahead. Those two a driving finish. Proud Truth has won it.
Proud Truth gave an even prouder John Galbraith his Breeders' Cup Championship moment.
Away from the running of the Fountain of Youth Stakes and the Axe. It's time now to get the edge here. Who's your pick?
Well, you know, Dixieland Brass is a obviously very promising colt, coming off a tremendous race in the Hutchinson. But behind him, there was a horse knocked around like a bowling ball. And that's the one horse in here, Western Playboy. Also, Dixieland Brass has never been 2 turns, and old racetrackers have often died saying, never bet a horse to do anything he hasn't done before. Western Playboy's been around the route, and I think he'll make it today. That's my pick, Western Playboy.
I've got video proof of my pick. Traskwood. We're going to look at the Nashua Stakes back in New York. Pete, you like this one, too. We just ID'd him there in those brown and yellow colors of Lob Lolly Stable. Traskwood, ridden by Angel Cordero. You know what a strong rider Angel is. Well, he does something a young horse usually doesn't do well. He stumbled at the start, got off to a terrible start, and watch him now drive between horses, Pete.
Yeah, he almost drags Angel up between horses here. A courageous horse, could be a freak. He's the horse I'm looking for as a big contender.
His first 89 start, though, that's a question. Let's go to the top of the stands now. Dave Johnson, your pick.
Well, this is a tough one, and the reason is because we know what's in front of us here. We've got the Triple Crown, we've got the Florida Derby. So here are the questions. What are you looking for? A winner of the Triple Crown, your Florida Derby horse, or the winner today? Those are 3 different questions. I narrowed the field to 6. Dixieland Brass, I think he's going to be a major factor, but his effort in the Hutchison is going to take a toll. I looked at the Thorograph numbers. They're very good, but he might bounce. Traskwood, well, excellent numbers from 88, but no starts in 89. He needs a race under his belt. Awe-inspiring. And Triple Buck, they could be any kind of horses, but they haven't proved it to me yet. So I come up with Big Stanley as my second choice. His works are good, and he's proven it on the track. But at 18-1, my number 1 choice in here, and it's a long one, is Mercedes 1, winner of the Hopeful in the Sanford last year. He's proven he has a class. He can carry the weight. He has the speed. He can get the distance. And he had big trouble in his last out when an 84-1 shot knocked him out of it on the backstretch. Throw that one out and go to the windows for an 18-1 shot. Mercedes 1. You heard it here, Chris.
All right, Dave, we're going to go one level below you in the press box now to Joe Hurst, executive columnist of the Daily Racing Form. He gives us an overview on this field and on the early 3-year-old picture here. Let's go now to Joe Hurst.
Well, the Fountain of Youth is really the first major 3-year-old stake of the year, and if the journey of 1,000 miles, as they say, begins with a single start, it begins right here on the road to Louisville. The favorite for the Fountain of Youth is Dixieland Brass, grandson of Northern Dancer. And as the past performances indicate, he won the Hutchison several weeks ago in very impressive fashion. He accelerated from the 8th pole to the wire and drew away from his field, usually the mark of a good horse. Several others merit consideration. One of them is Traskwood, who won his last 3 starts, including the Grade 2 Nashua in New York last fall, and Triple Buck, who worked 1 mile and 1:42 here just last week. He could be a horse on his way up. But of course, this is the time of the year when all our geese are swans and all the 3-year-olds show promise. The Fountain of Youth will help us to sift out the picture and see what happens on the road to the Florida Derby.
Thank you, Joe. There's the man who will be starting things here at Gulfstream Park as the horses approach the starting gate. Faith, the keys to victory in the Fountain of Youth. Who has to do what to win?
Well, of course, the one big question, Big Stanley, if he can set his own pace, rolling on the lead, will be very tough. George Giannos told me earlier in the show he doesn't have to be on the lead. I don't believe it. I think he will be on the lead. He'll set the pattern for the race. But I think Western Playboy will be close in there. I think then it'll be a question of how the closers can get through the traffic.
Closers like Dixieland Brass, like Awe-inspiring. Big field in front of them. That can cause some problems.
It could. You know, another interesting factor, Chris, is some of these horses are carrying only 112 pounds instead of 122. That could be an edge for some of them. One of them happens to be Western Playboy, too.
A 10-pound spread. There is the stakes record, 141, set in 1978. The track record at 140-1. Pete, you think we'd have any kind of record shot today?
No, the track hasn't been fast enough for a record, and these horses still have to show us they're record-style horses, but I think it's going to be a tremendous competitive race.
Dave, we're looking for a star. Let's go up to the top of the stands. The man who called the Fountain of Youth, Dave Johnson, as they continue to load.
Well, there's a star jockey, Jacinto Vasquez, who's moving into line with Big Stanley. You're right about the weight, guys. Western Playboy carries the same as he did in the Hutchison, 112. But Dixieland Brass has to pick up 8 pounds. He carried 114 in that one, 122 today. There is Jorge Velazquez with Triple Buck. And then we have one of the 2 field horses and post positions drawn by lot. Crown Collection, Craig Perret on the outside. 13 of them in the gate. Charlie Kamak ready to send them on their way. Bold Circle acted up. They're off. Awe-inspiring was off a step slowly. Now between horses, Mercedes 1 takes the lead. Big Stanley on the outside. Those 2 match strides early. Western Playboy along the inside saves ground in 3rd, with Triple Buck out in the middle of the racetrack 4th. Dixieland Brass is between horses 5th as they round the clubhouse turn. Then reaffirming 6th. Awe-inspiring at the rail is 7th. Traskwood on the outside is 8th by 3. Silver Sunsets in 9th. Crown Collection is 10th on the outside. Then comes Bold Circle, followed on the outside by Hal Rose, and Dark Skies is 13th. 23-4 the first quarter. Down the backstretch, Early Fires has Mercedes 1 in front 3 parts of a length. Big Stanley on the outside pressing the issue. Western Playboy with Jerry Bailey at the rail saves ground, sitting right there in 3rd and ready to pounce on the leaders. The favorite, Dixieland Brass, is between horses. On the outside, it's Triple Buck moving up a bit. Reaffirming is next. And I believe that Traskwood is in some tight quarters with Cordero. I believe he inched back. He's in sixth now, about 6 lengths off the lead. Around the far turn, the half in a leisurely 48 seconds. It's still Mercedes 1 in front ahead. Here comes Reaffirming with Marco Castaneda up on the outside. Triple Buck is right there, as is Big Stanley. 4 of them across the track, and Dixieland Brass behind a wall of horses swings to the outside. 5 wide, Dixieland Brass is flying, and Western Playboy can't get through along the inside. And down the stretch they come. On the outside, Dixieland Brass with a big move. Mercedes 1 at the rail, hanging tough. Those 2 heads apart in deep stretch. Dixieland Brass has it. 5-1. Mercedes 1 finishes second, Triple Buck third, then Big Stanley, then Western Playboy, and Crown Collection. Dixieland Brass proved a lot this afternoon, carrying the majority of money, 6-5 on the tote board. Couldn't find room behind that wall of horses. Then swinging to the extreme outside with Randy Romero aboard. Dixieland Brass by about 1.25 lengths in a big effort. Stamp him as mucho tough for the Florida Derby in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you, Dave. Dixieland Brass, the unofficial winner, and Pete, so much for the bounce there. He put 2 big ones together.
Yeah, the only bouncing was done when he had to bounce through horses. We talked about traffic, and then we could have been out on Federal Highway outside Gulfstream where there's construction, the way this traffic jam developed. A lot of horses had trouble, but only one overcame it. He came to the far outside, got the job done, and that's the mark of a good horse.
I salute Dave Johnson's pick. Mercedes 1 set the fractions early and really fought for it, but Dixieland Brass, owned by Bayard Sharp and Bill Ferris Jr., the unofficial winner of the Fountain of Youth Stakes. We'll be back in a moment. That is Randy Romero as he took this saddle off, and now the cooler goes on. The winner of the Fountain of Youth Stakes, Dixieland Brass, owned by the grandfather Bayard Sharp, his grandson Bill Ferris Jr., Bill's first thoroughbred he's ever owned. Charlie Peoples, the trainer, just 3 horses in his barn. Randy Romero, as you heard him talk earlier, just coming to Florida, trying to find a Derby mount. He said he's sticking with this one. Made a good choice today, as did most of the people here that sent him off at 6-5. He is by the Lanes Inn Stallion Dixieland Band out of the mare Windmill Gal by Gallant Romeo. Won the Hutchison and now wins the Fountain of Youth Stakes. And Dave Johnson, how did he do it?
He did it the hard way, taking the outside route. He was on US 1. There were 4 horses up front. Mercedes 1 at the rail, and then Big Stanley and Reaffirming and Triple Buck. Those 4 across. Now, watch the horse with the blinkers. That's going to be your eventual winner, Dixieland Brass. And Romero sees this wall of horses and decides right here, I got to go to the outside. And outside he does. See the horse with the purple and yellow blinkers, eating them all up, picking up all the pieces. My 18-1 shot. Mercedes 1, he hung tough at the rail, but let's not deny this was a tremendous effort. Dixieland Brass, and Randy Romero just eases up at the finish. Dixieland Brass, the winner. Mercedes 1 second, Triple Buck third. Let's go to Pete.
Dave, as you called the race, there was a lot of traffic back there. Nobody a bigger victim than Angel Cordero on Traskwood. Angel, what happened on the backside?
Well, before I went to the turn, it was too many horses together, and I was getting bumping behind. Then when I got on the backside, I was following J.D. He was really no place to go. And the outside horses got the best of it. They kept pushing the dead horses in front of us. So I don't think we was going to be the winner, but I might have been third if I have a better trip.
Jerry, we thought watching the race that... here, let's watch this here, Angel. This is where you did get squeezed back out of it. Describe it a little more.
Well, I was following the first bunch over there. I'm laying about 7. I'm beating 2 horses in the monitor now, and I had to stay there. It wasn't real, nothing serious. It was just no place to go. The dead horses started backing up on our faces, and the winner was in a good, clear position all the way around. I don't think nobody was going to beat him today.
Okay, thank you, Angel. And it's always nice to have one jockey, even amid all these excuses. We thought Western Playboy had an excuse, but Jerry, your answer?
Well, I was behind horses, but unfortunately the hole was moving faster than I was, so I never really ran into a problem.
My wallet is moving fast, too. Back to you, Chris.
All right, thank you very much, Pete. And now it is Dixieland Brass who joins such past winners of this race who've gone on to win races like the Kentucky Derby, like Tim Tam, like Howie King. So many of them with a big future. Back in a moment. official. Dixieland Brass wins the Fountain View Stakes. Here are the prices. The favorite pays $440, $380, $280. He goes a mile and a 16th in 144 and 3, considerably off the stakes and track record 141 and 140 and 1. Mercedes won. Well, that was Dave Johnson. I hope he had him across the board, not just to win. 13, 20, and 1060, and triple bucket 460. We're going to talk to some of the winners here in just a moment. The grandfather and grandson team, Bayard Sharp and Bill Ferris Jr. As you see our winner heading off, Dixieland Brass. Let's go to Pete Axhelm now. First with the winning trainer, Charlie Peoples.
Charlie Peoples, we talked earlier in the show, it takes a good horse to get you out of Maryland and spend the winter in Florida. Look like you're going to be here a while.
Well, I hope so, and I love the weather here. It's been beautiful.
Well, I'm sure you also loved seeing him extricate himself from that jam. Let's look at the tape of how he comes off the rail here. What were you seeing at this point?
Well, I saw him making his move. That's where he ducked. Randy said he ducked here somewhere.
The boy on the outside horse hit my horse in the head. That's where I threw his head, yes.
Head up, yes, I didn't see that.
And Randy Romero's joined us. Randy, through the lane, doesn't look like he had too much more with him here.
He's a nice guy. It's a pleasure to ride one like him. And I came to Florida now having a colt to ride, and Mr. Charlie gave me a colt to ride, and I'm very happy to be on him today.
How bad of a trip was it? It looked like it really took a very quick move to get free.
No, I really had a good trip after you look at it, because the speed went out, and I just stayed behind him, and I saved ground, and when I called on him, I swung him out and come running. And
he sure did. And Charlie, I'm sure we'll see him running in the Florida Derby.
I hope so.
Thanks very much. Back to you, Chris.
All right, here are the owners. This is Bayard Sharp. This is the grandfather. This is the grandson. This is Bill Ferris Jr. Will Ferris on the outside from Lanes Inn Farm. Bayard, you've been through this a lot. Does it ever get old?
Never gets old. No, it certainly doesn't.
Congratulations, your first horse. Is that right, Bill?
Yes, it is. It's the first time.
And, well, I know for you, Dixieland Band, of course, being there at Lanes Inn, looks awful good for him.
Well, it's a tremendous team effort with Beasy having bred Dixieland Band and being the sire of this horse, and Bill and Bayard owning it's a tremendous thing for all of us.
Bayard, what's the next plan? Florida Derby?
I hope he's ready for it.
All right. Better luck in Kentucky than you've had in the past with Charlie.
I hope so. Okay. I really hope so.
Bayard Sharp, Bill Ferris, Will Ferris, our winner owners. As you see, Dixieland Brass coming to the winner's line here at the Fountain of Youth. Finished. Mercedes won second. Triple Buck was third. Big Stanley ran fourth. The winner of Tropical Park, Western Playboy, was fifth. Traskwood was sixth. That's my pick. Crown Collection, the Bud Long Shot, ran a respectable seventh. Silver Sunset's eighth. Reaffirming was ninth. Rounding out the field, awe-inspiring, Hal Rose, Bull Circle, and Dark Skies finishes 13th and last. Well, those are the three-year-olds in the spotlight right now, but there are many others down here in South Florida, and Dave and Pete are going to talk about them right now.
Oh, this is going to be a good Triple Crown. Let's take a look at Easy Goer, though. He's the horse who's the early favorite for the Kentucky Derby, last year's two-year-old champ. And here he is beating Is It True in the Champagne.
This horse, obviously, heavy favorite in all those future books, but we know, remember a horse called Devil's Bag had the same kind of credentials coming out of his two-year-old year, so he's still got to prove a little bit to me.
And if he stays the favorite for the Triple Crown or for the Kentucky Derby, do you know when the last time a horse has won the Kentucky Derby as a favorite? Since 1979, the whole decade of the 80s. If he goes to the Kentucky Derby as a favorite, he will be the only one in the 80s to win it. And she's from a great barn.
Yes, the Ogden Phipps outfit, of course, I was lucky enough to be with them in the great days of Eddie Nilo when he broke every earnings record with all those Sons of Bold Ruler. Like everything else, racing goes in cycles. They didn't break up the game. It faded, but Shug McGahee has certainly brought it back to the top.
Hey, and take a look at another good three-year-old. Let's watch him last year in the Young America at the Meadowlands, 12th in the early going. Eddie Maple brings Irish Actor from far back to win it by a length and a half.
And talking about trainers, you know, you can't go to the window with poetic justice in this sport. But if there is such a thing, Leroy Jolly, who trains Irish Actor, last year he lost one of the big outfits in the game, Peter Brandt, to Wayne Lucas. Leroy has put things back together. And, of course, he might just prove again, not that he really has to, that he is one great classic trainer.
And you know, Irish Actor makes that kind of a move that you need to win a Triple Crown race with power from way at the back of the pack. There are some other good horses around too, Trap Mountain and Guadalupe Peak. Did you see his last race?
Well, he ran a very good race here. He's strong, but of course he's not the first string. Let's face it, Dave. We're both waiting to talk about the flying machine in this bunch.
Let's say it in unison. Houston. We're ready for him to come back.
We sound like Glenn Campbell off key.
Well, we've been wrong before, though.
We're off key a lot of our selections.
In any event, we're waiting for Houston. Now back to you, Chris.
All right, Dave and Pete. With me now is Tommy Trotter, the director of racing, who has done a masterful job of the program at Gulfstream Park. He also was the man the Jockey Club appoints, along with 2 other racing secretaries, to come up with what was known as the experimental free handicap. Tommy, just what is that?
Well, what it is, Chris, we're taking the 2-year-olds in their 2-year-old years, and we're weighting them strictly on what they do as 2-year-olds. So it's an evaluation in their 2-year-old years, and we do have a criteria for it that they must win a stakes and or else be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th and 1 in the states here.
Well, we'll take a look at the top 10 according to the experimental free handicap, and here it is right here. Easy Goer, we've all talked about on top at 126. King Glorious, 125. There you see him down. Fast Play, Is It True, who of course beat Easy Goer in the Breeders' Cup. Bio and Trap Mount at 122. Scanning the next 5 now, and one name that doesn't here, our singing partners we're mentioning, Houston. Why isn't he in this?
Well, he didn't qualify. He's a nice one, and this is not to take anything away from his ability. Just as we saw this horse today, Kerosene run here in a previous race, and he just didn't qualify under the standards that we have set.
You also, of course, did the handicap system on fillies, and the Breeders' Cup champion Open Mind tops that.
Open Mind, you know, she really stood out, and it looked like it was really a Wayne Lucas year with fillies. I think he had about 4 or 5 of the top fillies there. But Open Mind came on and won the Breeders' Juvenile Cup, and then came back and won after that.
Tommy Trotter, the director of racing here, and along with things like you'll hear dosage and all kinds of different elements, these all go into handicapping our Triple Crown winner. Let's go back to Dave and Pete.
Well, let's try and handicap the Florida Derby winner. I think Traskwood, who had good form last year and had trouble today, I would say he's one of my favorites for that one.
Well, for the moment, I stand appreciative of this winner. Dixieland Brass is a genuine good horse. He showed it in every way today. Reminded me just of the kind of horse that overcomes trouble, and that's what wins Triple Crown.
Looks like a good season, Chris.
That it does, Dave, and as you're taking a look at Dixieland Brass, showing some of the courage that the 3-year-olds will need as they go pounding down that road towards Churchill Downs and the first Saturday in May. Outside behind a wall of horses, swung wide, 6 wide, and down the stretch he comes as Dixieland Brass wins the Fountain of Youth. Brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Claiborne Farm, for more than a century. A great record reflects our experience. And by Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. Relive the legend. Charts and statistics, courtesy of the Daily Racing Form, America's Turf Authority. Accommodations for ESPN while in South Florida, provided by the Palm Air Spa Resort in Pompano Beach, Florida. Remember, this Fountain of Youth Stakes has produced horses that go on to win 7 Kentucky Derbies, 5 Preaknesses, and 4 Belmonts. Do we have another today? Only the future road of the Triple Crown will tell. So long, everyone.